Hello again. Today we're going to be making some Lego Hollow Knight minifigures. I am a huge fan of the Hollow Knight game. I'm really looking forward to Silksong and all the stuff that's going to be happening in that one. And I figured while I was waiting, I wanted something to display on my shelf, and there wasn't really much out there on how to make something like this, so I figured I would walk everybody through, what the parts I got, how I'm going to be making the head, and all the things that go into this. So I decided to make all three figures from the first game, so that's going to be the Knight, the Shade, and Hornet. You can see them lined up. I'm going to walk through them one by one, and you're going to see kind of how we're going to do this thing. So let's get started. Okay, so let's start with our main character over here. So this is going to be for the Knight. You can see it's just a regular black torso with black arms and hands, and then I'm using the really short minifigure legs for this guy, given his height in the game. I also picked up these medium legs as well in case I wanted to position him in movement or anything like that, so I have these on standby, but for the most part it's going to be displayed with this here. And then for his nail, this is going to be a weapon, a minifigure weapon called the Spike. It took me a minute to find this on when I was trying to model these in studio, and yeah, so if you want to find it, it's actually under minifigure weapons, but this is going to be his weapon that he'll be using, and it looks the perfect size. It kind of looks like the nail. I really like it in comparison to his stature as well. And the last official Lego parts that we got, I think this is a Mandalorian cape. So this is one of the dark bluish gray capes that wasn't too long that I wanted to use for the figure. So if we just throw this guy on here, and just like that. So you see it actually is a little bit too long for his torso, but when you display this guy on the minifigure stand, it actually is the perfect size. So you see there, just overlaps just a little bit. So when he's being on display, he'll be okay. But in any case, that's going to be the main body for the Knight. So you can see the nail, the mothwing cloak, and then just his full black body. And we'll be getting to the heads later. That's going to be some shenanigans, and we're gonna figure it out together, but I haven't made those yet. I got clay on standby, but in any case, that's how you're gonna make the first Knight there. And then up next is gonna be the Shade. So I actually got a Dementor bottom for him, and I think it works really well for how it kind of floats in the air when you find it in game. And then on top of that, we just have another black torso here with actually the orca arms. So I popped the orca arms off of this minifigure, which I ordered on Bricklink. And it gives it more of like a little ghostly stature, so it's like more floating, it's ethereal, all that stuff. I have backup hands because I do have a black version of the nail in case I wanted to display them together. But as of now, I've just been having it lay on the side like he dropped it. But this has really been working for me. And then, of course, we have another cloak. Actually, let me show you first. So this is like a tattered cloak. I'm not sure what it comes from. It might even be the Dementors as well. But this guy just slips right on like so. And other side. And there you go. So this is what the body of the Shade is going to look like. It's a lot of black. You kind of lose some detail when you're far away, but I think the parts, it sort of brings it together. And actually, this is a one stud piece, so we're going to display it like this on the minifigure stand. And yeah, that's going to be the torso for the Shade. On the far right, we have Hornet. So just like everybody else, we kind of have this this black bottom. So this is going to be a full size minifigure bottom in full black. And then you can see this red cape piece here. So this was really important to me because I wanted to capture Hornet's shape, her dress and things like that, but I didn't want her to be brick built. So I was really happy when I found this skirt piece on Bricklink. And with the red torso here, if we throw this guy on as well, you can see it really gives her dimension and her shape without having to use like a conical body or something, which is what I've seen in some examples online. But in any case, I'm pretty happy with it. So the cape top in the back that you can see, that's something that I'm not really sold on quite yet. So that's supposed to be her collar, but I'm worried it's a little bit too tall. You might recognize it from like a Dracula set or something like that. But in any case, we're going to hold off on that until we actually see what the heads look like. So we'll just put Hornet right there. And then in the meantime, we have her needle and thread. So this is going to be the thread piece. And this is going to be one of the harder pieces that you find on Bricklink. I think when I bought it, it was the only one available in the United States. It's from an older set, maybe 15, 20 years ago, so it's a little bit harder to come by. But I really like the length. I think it's maybe 8 studs. It's not too long. There's some really crazy long ones out there, but I wanted to have something that was a little bit medium length. And then for the rest of it, we have this spear, which is going to be her needle piece. And I was kind of bummed out because there wasn't too many examples of something that I could use as a needle. I bought a very expensive piece that was like an old pike or something from like a medieval set, and the package got stolen on the way here, so I settled for this instead, which I think actually is a little more simple in its design and going to be a little more elegant as well. So what you're going to do is just throw on a cone piece right there, and then this is going to be a hollow stud, so you can see it's hollow, and that goes on the end, but not too far because you need to clip this guy in. So we'll actually do that right now. So this guy is all clipped in, and then just push the cone back to finish off. And then this is going to be your needle and thread here. So you can see it's got some length to it. And if we attach it to Hornet here, bring it around. And there you go. So this is going to be Hornet with her needle and thread. And I was actually really happy with the result here. I think the thread does a lot. I think if she just had a needle, I would be a little less enthused. But she's actually really cool. And again, I'm looking forward to seeing how the heads shape up on these guys. So in any case, these are going to be your 3 figures, so we'll just go through them again. So this is going to be your knight. This is going to be your shade. And this is going to be Hornet. So at the end of the day, finding the parts for the bodies of the figures was not hard. Again, like I said previously, I think the thread is probably the hardest thing that you're going to find, maybe the skirt piece, something like that. I didn't get too much trouble getting these parts. The tough part is going to be making the heads. So I tried to cheat and it didn't work. There was a very wonderful woman on Etsy who sold these pendants, and if you look at that, it's a really cute little Hollow Knight head, and if I hold up a torso, it's actually the perfect size of something that I was looking for. Problem is, this pendant is flat, and I did not realize that until I ordered it. But the good news is, I can use this as an example for when I'm making my heads for these guys. I also have a Hornet example as well, so she has the same issue. And this is actually not as big as I'd like it to be, so we're actually going to be scaling this up when we finally make these guys. So these are going to be our examples that we're going to be working off of. And I popped by Michael's today, and I picked up, this is oven bake clay, and it's Sculpey 3. And I looked up the number. That means it's a softer clay, which is going to be good for me because I have no idea, like literally no idea what I'm doing. And we're just going to be figuring it out together. And then I also picked up these little clay shapers, mostly for this part right here. This was like $3. And this is to make the indents for the eyes, which is really important to me. I didn't want a clumsy finger, and you know, this thing is pretty small as well. So I wanted to do it right. And then the final thing here is some gloss glaze, and that's going to be going over to make sure that it's all shiny and nice. I also have some acrylic paints that are not out quite yet, but we'll be worrying about that in just a minute. Alrighty, so we're going to get started here. So I'm going to open this guy up, and we're going to see what we're working with. So we have these nice little dividers here, and I'm just going to cut off a good quarter of it, like that. And this is what we're going to be starting with. So this is white. Unfortunately, I do have to make a shade head, so that's going to be black as well. And I want to make sure that the colors are really nice and crisp on this. So I will be painting these, but this is our starting point. And again, I'm going to be modeling this as close as I can in a 3-dimensional capacity, and then firing it up in the oven. It should be only 15 minutes in the oven for this oven-baked clay, and then we'll be painting it and glazing it, and then we'll be all set to go. So I will come back in a little bit and see how this goes. Okay, and here's an update for everybody. So this is what I have going so far. So you can see that's going to be the head of the knight. I'm using the the orca body to model and keep a minifigure whole. I'm hoping that the clay either doesn't expand or kind of stays so that it'll slip right on, but I have some ideas on how to keep it in place just in case. So what I ended up doing is just rolling the clay into a little cuboidal shape and then just flattening out the little rough edges. And you have a lot of play with it, a lot of give and stuff, so it's really working. And then there's this little guy right here. And if you can see that end piece, if it will focus, which it doesn't seem like it wants to, but in any case, it's kind of flat on one side, and I used it to mark out the eye holes, and I actually used the butt end of it here to kind of just poke around inside until it was satisfying. And then I was able to, you know, kind of just push around the little edges and push things in, just so that they were about roughly the same size. I'm not too stressed about it because I can do a lot with the paint as well too. But in any case, that's kind of what it's going to look like. I'm going to make the horns right now, and then I think my plan is to make 2 of these so that they look exactly the same or as close to it, and then I'll put them in the oven so that the shade and the knight have both similar, if not the same, sort of heads. But anyways, I will be back with the finished product in just a moment. And so here we have the final version of the first head. So this is going to be our Hollow Knight head. So you can see on top here, you see his little antlers. That's going to be definitely the most fragile part of this whole thing. So when I throw these things in the oven, I'm going to cook it for a little bit shorter than they say. It's based off thickness of the clay, but obviously these guys are pretty thin, so I'll be basing it off that because I don't want to over bake or anything like that. It was a little difficult to match these guys. You can see they're not entirely perfectly matched, but I'm pretty happy with the outcome. I might fool around with it a little bit more before I throw it into the oven, but I'm pretty happy with the result of this. So if we put it onto the actual scale here, these are the medium legs, so this is not even the full small legs. I'm being very careful not to. Here we go. So he's going to look something like this. This is going to be like a teenage knight, given the size. But I'm pretty happy with this. So once it's all painted, the eyes will be white. This will be all glossy and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and do my best to make another one exactly like this, and then we'll move on to Hornet as well. So. Okay, so I finished crafting the heads and I stuck them in the oven for a little while, and I have the results for you here. So here is that first head I showed you guys, and this is going to be the Hollow Knight head that I'm going to be using for the main figure. I also have this other one here. They look very similar. As you can tell, it's not exactly the same. There's a little bit of differences here and there. I tried my best to make them as close as possible, but it wasn't something that I could do. So I got as close as I could, and I think I did pretty good. And then also we have Hornet's head right here, which I didn't show as I was making it, but this was actually probably the easiest one to make, just given its pretty simple shape and stuff like that. And I only had to make one of it, which was really, really awesome. But anyway, I have all of these heads, and if you actually look at them, these are baked in the oven for about maybe 15-20 minutes, and they actually click on pretty well. So that's not falling off or anything like that. And Hornet's is actually the loosest one, but it's not too bad. Here is the knight himself. If we take his head and we put it on, it actually clicks on, if you heard that. It looks pretty good too. So again, these are with the medium legs, so let me actually take those off. And if we switch to the small legs, which is the ones that I'll mostly be displaying him with, this is what he looks like. And this is before painting as well, so he's going to look even better than this as well too. Got a little bit of bronzing on the top right now from the oven, but. And then of course we have the shade. It's going to be this head right here. This is the tightest fit of them all, but still clicks on nice and solid. That's him next to knight. And then this is Hornet as well. So not too shabby. I'm really happy with how the heads turned out. And now all that's left to do is paint them and gloss them over with that glaze as well. So okay, so you can see we have our little paint set up now. So I'm going to be painting the heads to their appropriate colors. For example, the Hollow Knight is going to be a white head with black eyes. Shade is going to be a black head with white eyes, and so on and so forth. So I have my two primary colors here. I'm glad I don't need any more. It doesn't need anything super complicated, so I'm just going to be painting away and I'll show you guys how it looks. So I finished painting the clay heads, so this is going to be the end result that I have. Starting with the knight. So cute little guy. So it's just painted white, and then the eyes are going to be black. And the black paint was actually really, really good. It's like a tar consistency. It was really nice. So I could put it on anything and just immediately blacked it out. And then the bottom, it's a little bit rougher. I didn't bother too much with cleaning it up just because, you know, it's going to be going on the minifigure body, so it's not that big a deal. But that's going to be the knight head. Moving on to the shade, so very similar, but it's just a little inverse. So black head with white eyes, at the bottom for you with the minifigure hole. Pretty cute, both of them together, very cute. A little bit difference in size there, but again, I'm not worried about it. So I think, you know, all things considered, my first time working with clay, I think I got pretty close. And then Hornet's head, which I'm actually, you know, this was something that I was a little worried about, but it came out really, really well. I might have to slap another coat of paint on. As you can see, the little darkness is coming out a little bit on her, so I might be touching it up a little bit. But the last thing that I'm going to be doing here, I got this at Michael's as well. So this is gloss glaze, and I'm just going to be sealing the paint coat on these guys, and then that's going to be it. We'll just be throwing them together and seeing how they look on the shelf. And while we're waiting for that final coat to dry, I actually had one more thing in mind. So we are going to be making a bench and lamp just like in Dirtmouth. So the lamp is going to be based off a Lego idea set that somebody submitted. I really loved the use of the whip as sort of the, you know, the shell kind of curled lamp shape that they had going on, and then I actually designed my own bench. So let me assemble those really quick for you guys. So first piece for the lamppost is going to be obviously a lamppost, and then it's actually a really smart way how they decided to do this. So this is just one of those clips that goes into one of those side stud piece holders, and it's actually going to hold the whip like so. So now the whip is attached, and then these little round guys, they're not quite as cylindrical, they're actually a little flattened. Just pop on the end of the whip here, and then a transparent piece, stud piece, goes on. So that's going to be your curled lamp, and it's going to go right on top here. So we'll just do that one more time for the other side. So there you go, there's that whip attached. You can clean it up a little bit later as well too. And then we'll throw this on. And the transparent stud. Okay, so here's your two lamps. And the first one goes right here. And add two cylindrical pieces, which is what I had on hand, and then the second lamp. So if you are familiar with the game, you're familiar with Dirtmouth, and this looks, I mean, pretty damn close to the lamp that is present above the bench in Dirtmouth, and I think it's just a great thing to display with the figures. So once we have everybody set, they'll be sitting or standing by something like this. Let's see, that's better. So that's the lamp for you guys. And then as for the bench, so again, this is my own design. It's not perfect. If I were to do it again, I probably would. But it works for what I need it for right now. So I'm just throwing pieces on here, like so. And then you actually get a nice shape going. So these are just some black studs at the bottom to hold the bench up. And then in the front here, it's going to be held up by these side slopes, like so. Same on the other side. And then we'll throw a tile on these guys here. And then these are the horizontal bar pieces, like that, with a little stud on this side. So we're going to add a stud to the top and the bottom of it, and place them right here. And the benches actually don't have arms, but when I designed it, I included arms arbitrarily. I think it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But if you really wanted to be faithful, the bench would have no arms. But again, I think it looks fine. So there you go. So it's going to be the main structure. And then this is just one of those fence pieces. It looks like the wrought iron grate that's in the back of the bench. And I really like this design over the other ones that I was looking at. And it's just going to pop right back here and clip right in. So there you go. Little bench. Pretty cute. Gets the job done. So at the end of the day, you'll have your bench display. If it'll stand on this fabric, it doesn't look like it wants to. We'll just do it down here. Something like this. So that'll be replica of the Dirtmouth bench that you encounter in the very beginning of the game, up at the very top, before you enter Hollowness, and a place that I came back to pretty frequently. So, okay, and I think that's going to be it. So as you can see, I finished the glazing on all the heads. So we're going to have the lamppost here, the bench, the knight, the shade, and Hornet. So all these guys are going to be all good to go for the display. Just as a review, so right here we have the knight, and as you can see, I think the proportions for the head are really good. So I think this really works, you know, just for the figure and for the overall shape. I think the nail is the perfect size. I think the cape, you know, you could have done a dark blue cape depending on some artwork as well. But I really like the gray cape, and it fits just with the overall size of the bench and the lamppost. Then moving on to the shade, we have this guy here. So I think the white eyes are really stark and contrasting against the full black body. You got some ethereal, ghostly vibes from the Dementor bottom and the Orca arms, which I think is super funny. And then we have his fallen nail as well. So I think that's a really good addition. And then last but not least, since she has her own game coming out very, very soon, hopefully, is Hornet and her nail and her needle and thread, not her nail. And she is actually kind of, I think, my favorite. So as you can see, I have the collar on here that I was talking about. I think it really actually works really well. It does in the back push down a little bit on the collar, so it's not perfectly aligned as it would be in maybe some other figure sets. But again, I think this is really working for me. And the nail and the thread and just her red costume and her size and scope in comparison to everybody else, it really works. So these are going to be my final figures for the Hollow Knight set, along with, again, the lamppost and the bench. This is from a LEGO Ideas set. This is not my original design. This guy I kind of just whipped up really quick on the spot. But overall, these are going to be what I have as a result. So I'm very, very happy with the design. I think if people are interested in doing this, it's a super fun afternoon project. Again, it only took me maybe like a full afternoon and a little bit of a morning. You know, I came back throughout the day as these guys were drying or curing or anything with the paint and stuff like that as well. So it's not that big a deal. But if you feel like getting these pieces and doing this yourself, it is a super fun little project. To be honest, it did cost me a little bit of money, but I think that is because there was some experimentation involved. for example, like buying the pendants that didn't really work out for the heads. That was, you know, maybe $30. I had a package that was stolen, which amounted to probably around $17. So if I were to say all in all this stuff, the Legos and the clay and time and so on and so forth, it probably cost me maybe $75 for this in total, which, you know, to some might be a little bit steep, but for me, you know, for 3 figures and a display that is really unique and not something that you can find in stores or anywhere really, and is homemade and has a lot of heart and stuff like that, I think it was really worth it. And when Silksong comes out and I am able to turn to my shelf and look at these figures and this bench, and who knows, you know, maybe I make an additional display just for Hornet herself, I think that's going to be, you know, really fun. So I'm really excited about this. I think it turned out great. I think it was a fun project, a nice little weekend project, and if you guys are interested in doing something like this, you know, please reach out in the comments about equipment or materials that I bought or recommendations for pieces or why I chose, you know, one cape or over another or anything like that. I'm happy to share. So any questions, just put it in the comments below, and I really hope you guys enjoy. All right, have a good one. Bye.